After finding out this morning that you're not supposed to be swallowing the mouthwash, I got to thinking how many things seem obvious in hindsight, but really aren't. And that got me to thinking about the old key of E and some music theory. So today we're going to talk about what I think is actually something that when I learned it, I was like, oh, well, that makes so much more sense, and how you can kind of incorporate it into your playing, right? So the key of 2025 is the key of E major, right? So this has been a little bit of my theme for the videos this year so far, but there are 6 main chords in any key. 3 major chords, 3 minor chords. Check out the Patreon if you want to learn more about that. But basically, the 1, 4, and 5 in a key are major chords. So in E, it's like if you go through the notes of E major, we go E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, and E, right? That's the major scale. Again, we can do this in any key, which we'll talk about later. But with those, all right, 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, E, A, B, right? So E major, A major, and B major. Now, I think a lot of people avoid this key for some reasons because B major can be tricky to play. But this is why we're going to do this. We're going to go A major, B major, and E major. Okay? So really quick, this is why I think this is super obvious, because using one shape and just one straight line fret, you can learn all these chords in a way that contextually makes a lot of sense. All right? So when I say A, B, E, we're replacing this E major with this E major. All right? So instead of open, 2, 2, 1, open, open, we're just going to the D, G, and B strings 9th fret. Right? Super easy to find on this because I'm rocking a brand new D'Angelico hollow body that Sweetwater sent over. This video is sponsored by Sweetwater and D'Angelico. Guys, come on. This is the ultimate jazz era guitar. We're going to be talking about this as the lesson goes along. But we got this great Art Deco inlay, 9th fret. Okay? And we're going to connect this to the 4 chord, 2, 2, 2, and the 5 chord, 4, 4, 4. So, A, B, okay? Whenever we're going along this method of using this voicing, which again, I think is easy because you can just use one finger, or if you want to do it like this, A, B, E, 4, 5, 1. Okay? Think of the distance between the 5 to the 1, B major to E major, 4th fret to the 9th fret, as just being 5 frets higher with this chord voicing. Okay? So 1, 4, 5, 1. Okay? Now that's just the major chords. What about the minor chords, you ask? This is what is so obvious to me. It became obvious to me after I figured it out. I was like, why didn't someone ever teach me this? If we just use the low E string and keep it in line with these chords, we get all the minor chords, right? So the minor chords in this key are F sharp minor, G sharp minor, and C sharp minor, okay? So this is really, there's a lot of parallel kind of thinking in this. Remember, we want A, B, 5 frets higher to E. Well, if we go F sharp, G sharp minor, 5 frets higher to C sharp minor, to get again that 2, 3, and 6 chord in the key, it's like, well, these kind of seem interesting, right? So what we're going to do is if we play, I'm going to use maybe like my ring finger to play the A, B, and E. Again, 2, 4, 9. Now what I'm going to do is use my middle finger to play the root note of the what is now becoming the root note, just the E string, same fret. Now I've got 2 on the E string, I'm skipping the A string, 2, 2, 2. So this was my A major chord, right? But as soon as I replace the bass note with an F sharp, now it becomes an F sharp minor 7 chord, okay? So, F sharp minor 7, G sharp minor 7, C sharp minor 7. So without this as the bass note, it's a major chord, 4, 5, 1. If I just add that bass note in line, it becomes a minor 7 chord of all the minor chords in this key, right? And it seems a little jazzy, which is why I'm rocking it on the hollow body guitar, because this is kind of like a jazzier way to play these. If you wanted to play them just as triad, just regular 3-note minor chords, then you could do that bar chord where it's 2, 4, 4, 2, 2, 2. Or actually go one simpler, where, again, remember, this is our A and our B. If we just go straight down, if I just play the highest 3 strings, that's an F sharp minor triad, G sharp minor triad, C sharp minor triad. Why I prefer, actually, instead of using the high E string to add the new root note, using the low E string, is because I feel, especially on a guitar, as an accompaniment instrument, it kind of thickens the sound, right? Like this sounds more like an F sharp minor to me than this. If I'm playing, you know, maybe with a singer or something, I always kind of like having the root note, the bass note, be the root note in chords that I use. But same thing applies if you just want to use the highest 3 strings, right? 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6. How easy is that? It's just straight line and down. It's not super jazzy. You know what is jazzy is calling the color of this honey blonde. Honey blonde is jazz for yellow. Just a little pro tip on that. But this is like a pretty sick guitar, and it's like one of the more affordable hollow bodies that I can ever remember. So again, if you want to help support the channel, anything you get, please use through my Sweetwater affiliate link that I will have in the description. Even if it's not this guitar, but it should be this guitar. All right? So the next thing that I think should be obvious, but isn't, is once we have the structure of whatever, 2, 4, 9, to maybe do something a little more musical, is like, how do we inflect? How do we add these things? And maybe the first thing you might learn is the minor pentatonic shape on the relative minor of a key. All that means is if we're in the key of E, we take the 6th note. So remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, C sharp, which is the 9th fret, and then do that minor pentatonic shape where it's 9, 12, 9, 11, 9, 11, 9, 11, 9, 12, 9, 12, and then just doing any kind of lick or whatever on that. But what's interesting is like, okay, in this shape, we have the root chord, the home chord, right? Here's that E major. Again, it kind of comes from this guy right here, 7-9-9-9, but we don't need that root note. We could just go open like that to kind of get a cool kind of thing going. But what's nice is this is the left side of the minor pentatonic shape. So now we're going to utilize the easiness of this shape to start playing double stops over the chords that we're already playing. So for instance, we can do something like... Alright, so all I'm doing there is I'm playing in line on the 9th fret, and then just double stopping, so playing 2 notes at a time between the 7th or the 9th fret and the 11th fret. However you want to kind of mess around and experiment with that. But what I didn't realize at first is like, okay, it's not just the relative minor you can do that with. You can do that with any of the other ones too, right? That's the beautiful thing about minor pentatonic, is if I wanted to play on the 2 chord in E, F sharp, that same shape works, and I could do it over what I was thinking of as the A chord. And then the same thing with the 3 chord. Okay, so 2, 3, 6, or 4, 5, 1, and then I can use that same double stop over them. So let's say I want to think about it as 2, 3, and 6ing all over these double stops. 2, 3, 6. And it's really the same shape and the same idea, and you can kind of do like an infinite amount of things just from there, right? Now, I do think that it is pretty important to still kind of maybe find out where your tonal center is and where you want to maybe end a phrase like this, which is why the glory of E major is cool, because that big open E chord just sounds so good whenever you want to end anything like this, right? You got to do a 2-5-1 at the end when you're playing a classy jazz hollow body guitar. So real quick, just something that you might want to do for that is let's go to that 2 chord, right? 2-5-1 is always a great way to end like a phrase or something. So we already talked about that 2 chord, which is really the 4 chord hiding in plain sight. We could just go straight down a string, and now I've got a B with essentially what is that? F sharp minor triad. But if we put a B in the bass, it becomes like a B9, which is the 5 chord, and then that brings you back home to 1. So the cool thing about this lesson is you don't really have to learn complicated shapes. It's all the same shape, right? It's just everything in line, whether it's as the 4 chord or the 2 chord, the 5 chord, or the 3 chord, or the 1 chord, and the 6 chord. Or it could be the 2 chord, and the 5 chord, like that, back to 1. Alright, so remember, there's just a couple tricks, a couple cheat sheets you could do. Be like, alright, 5 chord plus 5 is going to get you back to 1. What that means is, remember, on the 5 chord was B major. 4th fret plus 5 was 4 plus 5. You're not a bass player, you can do it. 4 plus 5 is 9, you go right there. You're on the 5, and you add 5, and you get 1. However you want to remember that, so that's on you, right? But then you can kind of double stop around, and then do it. And again, this is just in the key of E. You can use it in any key. Like, let's just take whatever. Let's take the key of G sharp or A flat. Nobody ever plays in this key because you fear this key, but thinking of it in the terms of being like, all right, here's my 1 chord, right? The 4th fret is my root note, and there's that. Well, this is really just E straight down to here, and then just like with E to A, you take the 1 chord, you break it down, and then you go higher. You take this, you break it down, and then you go higher. So again, there's my 1, 4, 5, or 2, 3, add 5. Where am I at? What note is this? This is a C, so it's the 8. What's 8 plus 5? Now we're getting crazy. 13. Okay, so that would be like our relative minor or our home chord. All right, so 1, 4, 5, add 5, and then same thing. You could do all that. You don't even have to know the notes. They just become forms and shapes that you can just mess around with. So, in plain sight, guys, it should be obvious. You'll be like, how come I didn't know that before? How come I've been drinking this mouthwash? You probably didn't know that. You're probably drinking mouthwash just like I am for decades. Read the bottle, guys. just read the bottle. Also, thank you to D'Angelico and Sweetwater for sending this over. I'm such a sucker for these kind of guitars. Semi-hollows, you know, you're not going all the way. Go full in. Go full hollow. I especially like kind of like Travis picking on hollow bodies. It's got a cool floating humbucker pickup, which is awesome. Simple, no frills, beautiful guitar. Again, I love the D'Angelico stuff. It just looks amazing, and especially in honey blonde. So check it out. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section or the website, and I'll talk to you all soon.